My perfect husband's best friend hates me. But a picture confirmed all my suspicions and all our friends went pale. My husband met his best friend, Leo, long before he met me. He wasn't at our wedding nor did he attend any of the same schools as us, and I was under the impression he wasn't friends with anyone in our group. My husband covered this up by telling me he traveled a lot for work. Last year, my husband and I went to a barbecue hosted by another couple in the group and Leo was there. I didn't recognize him at first, but when I realized who he was, I was honestly kind of shocked. Leo is totally stunning. He looks like he could be a supermodel. I'd seen him in person before, but he always kept a very good distance from me, which I'm realizing now was intentional. When I attempted to make conversation with him, he seemed really nervous and totally shut me down after a few sentences. When I mentioned this behavior to anyone else, they also shut me down, saying things like that's just how he is or maybe you said something that offended him. In short, no one would tell me anything about Leo, at all. Any conversation that involved him was a no-go. At the end of that night, I tried talking to Dylan about his behavior. He told me Leo didn't like me. I was confused because I'd hardly seen him in person at all, let alone actually talk to him. The excuse my husband gave was that he disliked me is because I looked like his ex-girlfriend and Leo was too stubborn to let it go. Anyway, a few weeks ago my husband went fishing with his cousin. That same night, I had some of the girls in our friend group over for a girls' night type thing. Lily was scrolling through some social media. I was glancing over her shoulder when I saw a selfie of Dylan and Leo sitting next to each other in a hot tub. The selfie had been posted maybe 30 minutes ago. I asked Lily about what I had seen, and she went pale. She tried saying nothing, but I snatched the phone from her and went to the profile that posted the photo. The profile belonged to my husband. It was a private profile. And scrolling through the photos, most of them were dirty jokes or memes, but the rest of them were photos of him and Leo. Either they were hanging out alone, or with the rest of the group, minus me. In most of the photos, they seemed way too close, too touchy, or doing things that seemed too personal or intimate for friends to be doing. I spent a good 10 minutes looking before I couldn't take it anymore. I was horrified. All of the photos were dated to nights my husband told me he was working late, hanging out with this relative or that, times that he told me he was doing something else, and obviously hangouts I wasn't invited to. Lily just sat there looking dumb. She didn't say anything, but all the girls were looking at us like a bomb had just gone off. They clearly knew what I had seen, and their reactions were enough to confirm exactly what I was afraid of. I was livid. I started yelling, Lily was crying, and the rest of the girls were freaking out. When I started to calm down and demanded that they explain what was going on, Lily told me everything. Dylan and Leo had been sleeping together, and very essentially dating behind my back since before we even got married. They got together during a 1-month break me and Dylan had during college, and they stuck together ever since. They all knew, and none of them told me until I found out the hard way. Leo wasn't at our wedding because he felt guilty. He avoided me like the effing plague because he felt guilty. They arranged group meetups in a group chat I wasn't in because they all like Leo enough to spare his feelings. Even the guys in the group felt the same way about him. Leo was never as distant as I thought he was just being hidden. Dylan was hiding him from me because he didn't want me to find out they were together. By the end of it, half of us were sobbing, and everyone who wasn't was apologizing to me. I was so angry. I made them swear they wouldn't say anything to Dylan, or anyone else. I kicked them all out and cried myself to sleep. I was basically in denial like it was some kind of sick effing prank. My husband didn't come home until the next morning. He told me all about the supposed fishing trip he'd gone on. I didn't say anything about what I knew. I guess he could tell something was up because he kept asking me what was wrong, all day, every 5 effing minutes. Eventually, I just told him I'd been in an argument with my sister. By the end of the week, I was totally numb. Last night while my husband was handing out candy to our kids, I saw a notification pop up on his phone. Since I knew his password, I opened it. It was a text from Leo. I looked through the conversations they'd had. It confirmed everything. It was devastating. Dylan texted Leo the same way he texted me. He told Leo he loved him. Every sweet thing he said to me had been said in his conversations with Leo. I was hardly mentioned. I put his phone back before he noticed. Dylan is at work now. I don't know what to do. I could never imagine myself leaving Dylan, because he's such a loving partner and a good man, but I can't see myself winning in a competition against Leo if that's what it comes down to. I can't even make myself be disgusted or angered by Dylan. I love him too much. I'm not even upset with Leo, but I'm so hurt. I don't want to risk losing my husband, and I don't want to share him.